Hi everyone, welcome back. So today is our second last lesson. It's on parallel and perpendicular lines. So what is the difference between, or what is the definition of parallel lines? What is the definition of perpendicular lines? So parallel lines are lines that never cross. All right, they go in the same direction, kind of like train tracks, and the distance between them is the same no matter where you look. Perpendicular lines cross at a 9-degree angle. Okay? So let's go through some of the examples. We're on page 14 of your notes. So for the first question, you're asked to graph these two equations. So to graph y equals 3x plus 4, you want to start by graphing the y-intercept first. So on the y-axis, put your dot on number 4. All right, and then that's your starting point. So from the y-intercept, you're going to use a slope to get a second point, and your slope is 3 or 3 over 1, which means from that point you're going to go up 3 and over to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. Okay, there's your 2 points. Now you can join them to make a nice straight line. So there's our first equation. Do the same thing for the blue line. Start on the y-axis. The y-intercept is -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're starting here. And then from that point, use the slope to get a second point. So 3 or 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. There we go. Okay, and you can see that these two lines are going to be parallel. What's the relationship between the two lines? They are parallel. What is the slope of the two lines? So looking at your equations, they both have a slope of 3. Okay, slopes are equal. Okay, so they have the same slopes and the lines are parallel. So that is the relationship between the two equations. Let's do another one. So this one has, this equation is y equals 1/3 over x. There's no number being added at the end, which means that it has a y-intercept of 0. So you're starting at 0, 0, and you're using the slope to get your second point. And our slope is 1 over 3. So up 1, over to the right 3. And then add your line. And then for the blue one, we have 3 over 4x, subtract 3. So start on the y-axis at -3. And then use your slope of 3 over 4. So up 3, 1, 2, 3, over to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's our line. Are these lines parallel? No, you can see that they're going to cross somewhere in this spot over here. So they are definitely not parallel. What is the slope of each of the lines? Well, this one has a slope of 1 over 3. This one has a slope of 3 over 4. So different slopes, and the lines are not parallel. What would the slope of y2 need to be so that y2 was parallel to y1? So what should the slope be here in order for this line and that line to be parallel to each other, right? So to run at the same steepness. Well, this would have to be the same slope as this line has. So it would have to be 1 over 3. All right, graph y equals -2x plus 1. So plus 1 is our y-intercept. So starting on the y-axis at 1, and slope is -2 over 1. So down 2, over to the right 1. Add your line. Draw a line parallel to the line in part A, but with a y-intercept of -5. So we're going to do a second line. Okay, so I'm going to take my dot and put it on the y-intercept of -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and it has to be parallel to this line, right? Which means it has to have the same slope as the red line. And the slope of the red line is -2 over 1. So I'm going to use the same slope. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 2 over to the right 1. Okay, so now I've created a line that has a different y-intercept, right? Y-intercept of -5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't go down far enough. Whoops, sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to move this down. And then down 2 over 1. There we go. So it has a y-intercept of -5. right? But it has the same slope of negative 2 over 1. There's my equation. And now it says draw another line that's parallel to the line in part A, and then state its equation. So I decided to have a y-intercept of 5 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And the same slope of negative 2 over 1. So down 2 over to the right 1. Okay, so there's a third line. Just a different y-intercept, but the same slope. So all of these lines are parallel. They all have the same slope of negative 2. All right, so conclusion, parallel lines have the same slope. The symbol for parallel lines is two lines that are vertical looking like this. All right, for the second part, graph these two equations on the same axis. So the first one is 3 over 4x plus 1. So start by putting your y-intercept on there of 1. And then second point is 1, 2, up 3, and over to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Add your line. And then for the blue one, y-intercept of negative 2. And then I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. What is the relationship between these two lines? So these lines are perpendicular, all right? They're going to meet at a 9-degree angle. What is the slope? So let's take a look at the slopes. M1 has a slope of 3 over 4. M2 has a slope of negative 4 over 3. So take a look at these two slopes, right? What is similar about them? How do you think we can get the second slope from the first slope? Do you notice that the numbers have swapped and the sign has changed? Right, if they're going to be perpendicular, if one line is going in a positive direction and you want to have a 9-degree angle, the other one has to go in the other direction. Right, so if you've got a positive slope for the red one, you have to have a negative slope for the blue one. Right, so the signs are opposite and then the numbers also swapped. This is called a negative reciprocal. Right, if you take a number and you flip it and you change the sign, it's called a negative reciprocal. And that is what you will find between two lines that are perpendicular. So let's do it again. All right, so here we have 2 over 1x plus 1. So let's graph that. So starting on the y-axis at 1, I'm going to go up 2 over to the right 1. So there's my first line. Let's graph the other one. Are these lines going to be perpendicular? What do you think? All right, so the second line starting at negative 3. And slope, I'm going to go up 1 over to the right 1. Or up 1 over to the right 2, I mean. Do you think these lines are perpendicular? Right? Does it look like they make a 9-degree angle there? No, they don't. Right? What happened is we flipped the number, right? We flipped it, but we didn't change the sign. So these are not negative reciprocal. So these lines are not going to be perpendicular. Let's add a third line. Okay, negative 1 over 2x plus 4. Do you think this is going to be perpendicular with either the first line or the second line? What do you think? So starting at number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's my y-intercept of 4. And then slope is negative 1 over 2, so I'm going to go down 1 over to the right 2 to put my second point in place. Draw a line through, right? And you can see that this green line is going to make a 9-degree angle with the red line, not with the blue line, right? So red and green should be perpendicular. So the first line has a slope of 2, the second line has a slope of negative 1 over 2. You can see that if you flip 2 over 1, you're going to get 1 over 2, and the signs are also reversed, so therefore they are perpendicular. And take a look at the slopes, that's what I just talked about. There we go. And number 6, graph negative 1 over 3x plus 2. So starting at number 2 on the y-axis, you're going to go down 1 over to the right 3, and then add your line. State the slope of a line that would be perpendicular to y1, right? So if our slope is negative 1 over 3, right, and we want a line that's perpendicular, what should the slope be? You want to flip this fraction to 3 over 1 and change the sign. So the slope should be 3. draw a line perpendicular to y1, but with the y-intercept of -1. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go down to -1, and I'm going to use my new slope, right, the perpendicular slope, to get a second point. So up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. And now these lines should look perpendicular, and they do, right? They make a perfect 9-degree angle. What is the equation of the new line? So what is the equation of this new line? Well, the slope is going to be 3, right? And we said the y-intercept is -1. You can see that. So our equation should be y equals 3x subtract 1. And to conclude, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes, and then this is the symbol that we're going to use. It looks like an upside down T for perpendicular. All right, so what do you have to do for homework? So don't do all the questions on page 9, right? Only do the questions that are listed here. You're going to do questions 1 to 4. A hint for number 4, you want to rearrange the equation in y equals mx plus b first, and then do 5a, c, and e, 6a and b, and then try 7 and 8. If you get stuck, try graphing the information, all right? That might help you move along. If you're still stuck, then send me an email and I will help you. All right, second part of the homework is you're going to take a photo. I want you to go outside and look around. I created another instructional video of this part of the homework, but I'll just go over it briefly here. You're going to go outside and take a photo and see if you can find two lines that are perpendicular, like these lines here on the window are, or two lines that are parallel. And then you're going to take that photo, put it into Desmos, and once you put a photo into Desmos, it creates this grid overlay for you, which is nice and handy. Take a screenshot of that in Desmos and put it into your Google Slides that I added to your homework file. And then in Google Slides, you can add lines, right? So highlight the lines that you want to find the equations of, like I did here. And then find the equations of those lines. You're going to find the equations in y equals mx plus b form, but also in standard form. But like I said, I made another instructional video explaining this part of the homework, and that will be due on Friday instead of Wednesday. So you got a few extra days. There will be one last lesson on Wednesday, and then that's it for new information. The other thing I'm going to post probably on Friday is practice questions for the exam. It's like a review package that you would have had if you were to write the exam, which you're not going to this year, but I thought you might still want to look at those questions and work on them for the rest of June or even in the summer, just to kind of get yourself ready for grade 10. But I'll talk more about that on Friday. All right, good luck with the lesson and with the homework. Let me know if you need some help. Take care.